Hello everyone, my name is Dina and I am giving you an update today on a new start that's also a new finish. This happens every now and then when I work on a Christmas tree ornament. I want to thank Terry Montgomery, my Stitch from Stash postcard pal, for suggesting that we do an ornament sale once a month during the 6 months that we were assigned as postcard pals between July and December. So we picked the 15th of each month, and yesterday was the 15th, and so I was able to take a break from my Bewitching that I'm focusing on a finish, and I did a Christmas ornament. And I'm really sorry to say Terry did not get to do that because of emergency with her dad, but hopefully she'll be able to do that next month. And Terry, I hope everything's just going swimmingly now, and I'm sorry that you missed out on that. I'm really, really sorry that your dad had such a hard time. I did get a finish, so I got a new start and a finish. So I went back to my trusty, the big book of Christmas quickies, and there is a series of 10 designs by Lorrie Birmingham in this book, and they're called Merry Mice, and this is what they look like. There's 10 different mouse designs, and I decided to start with this one. I loved that little face peeking out from that box. I thought it was really sweet. And I don't particularly care for mice in real life, but I think they're really cute when they're cartoony or, cute and whimsical designs. And I tend to like a bit of whimsy when I'm doing decorating. I don't want everything to be always serious or exacting. So I enjoy a little bit of whimsy, as you can tell from my Bewitching is a lovely sweet face and a sweet little witch instead of something dark. I'm not a dark stitcher, so I like the whimsy a little bit more. So this is my finish for my Merry Mice, and I'm going to have to nickname each one because the whole series of 10 is called Merry Mice, and there's not anything to differentiate them from each other. So I've called this the gift, and so it's the little mouse in the box. I love the fact that the ribbon has 3 different shades of red and looks like it's got a sheen to it because of that. And I like the fact that the polka dots on the box were charted as white beads. I didn't just come up with that on my own, although I had already decided that's what I was going to do before I noticed that. Looking at the pattern, I could tell there were dots, and I looked and they were white, and I thought, I bet those are French knots. I'm not doing that many French knots, so I'm going to do white beads. I had some left over from my Smoky Mountain Christmas that I did. So anyway, here I was delighted to find when I read a little more that the designer had charted these for white beads. So cute, cute, cute. I thought little face is cute. I love the little shading. And I did this one on an 18 count Aida. It's an antique white, and you can tell I had already cut little squares out for several more of these, as I'm intending to do a lot of the 10. I may not do all of them, but I'm going to do all that I like enough to spend time stitching. But this was my finish, my new start and my finish in one day yesterday. I did stitch all day. I did stitch late into the night to finish this, but I just enjoyed it a lot, and I wanted to share that with you. And hopefully next month I'll have another one to share with you, which will be really fun. If I get one done each month, I would have 6 more cross-stitched ornaments to go with the 6 that I did for Stitch Mania. So that would be 12 that I've added this year. So that would be a really nice contribution to my Christmas tree. Probably enough to fill up my little ornament tree that I put for seasonal things. And I could at least do that if I didn't want to put it on my big tree yet, because they'd get lost with everything else. But I'm very pleased with that. And now I will get back to my focus on the finish. I've come a long way on Bewitching. I have gotten a lot done, and I'm working really hard to get even more done. So I think at this point, because of how close I'm getting, I'm not going to show it anymore until I finish it and let you have just a, oh wow, at the end, you know. But I can tell you it's beautiful. It is beautiful. The colors are amazing. I would never have put these colors together. If I had not seen this finish, at least on the front of the book, I would never have believed it if I had pulled those threads. But they really do pop, and they really are pretty together. So I'm hoping to have a finish by Halloween. I really am. I think I can do it, but I am having to put everything else practically aside. So you may not have long videos from me this month or next month. They may be pretty short and sweet, but at the end I think it'll be worth it for me. So I hope you don't mind going through this little short journey with me as I focus on this finish. Have a wonderful weekend. I know there's a stitching meetup in Canton, Georgia today. I could not be there, unfortunately. I have a commitment later that would prohibit me from going. But ladies, I'm thinking of you, and I've already watched D Squared's video of the sleepover for some of the ladies who were going and how much fun you were having. And hey, Lorraine, I want some of that sugar scrub. I'll talk to you guys soon, and if you haven't watched that, please go and check it out. You actually get to see a couple of people who aren't floss tubers, and you get to meet them a little bit more, so I think you'll enjoy it. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Bye. Hello everyone, it's Dina, and I'm here on Thursday, September the 21st. I'm here to share with you an update. I've been working on something really hard. This is Bewitching, and as you know, I have been putting forth a huge effort on her to try to finish her by Halloween, and I became obsessed. I have been working on this piece and nothing else since the 15th. I was participating in a Christmas tree ornament sale with my postcard pal from Stitch from Stash, Terry, and so I honored that commitment on the 15th, and I did a Christmas ornament, and I've posted that in a couple of Facebook groups, so you may have seen that finish. But since that day, I have stitched on nothing but Bewitching, and I have finished her. So I want to share her with you. Here she is. I'll sit back so you can see the full piece. I think she's precious, just precious. But I love the combination of the colors. I think she's turned out just lovely. I'm just very, very happy with this finish. And I'm going to, in a moment, I'm going to turn the camera around and give you sort of a close-up of her, highlight some of the areas, and also give you some lessons learned on this pattern in case you decide you want to do it. One of the things I will tell you is that she's pretty heavily beaded. She has 4 treasures, which are all purple flowers that are attached to her hat, and one is on the sash. I'll remind you of that. On her pole, you can see them there. There's a purple flower here on her corner of her hat, and right here, and another one in her hat here, and then over on her ribbon on the pole. I think you can see it right there. Anyway, those treasures are attached with 4 heather beads, and those are the small numbers. Then you have 89 citron beads in her dress, that's the green color, and the little beads that are in her cloak in clusters of 4. you need, I'll be exact here, 220 of them, according to the pattern. Now, I didn't count them out, but I sure stitched all of them on here. It took me a full day to do her beading. But I've enjoyed this piece. It's a lovely piece, and now I can finish it and hopefully have my finished piece on display during the October Halloween season. So I'm very, very happy that I've come this far. So I'll take a moment now and turn the camera around, and I'll give you a little detail on my finish. But thanks for letting me share it with you, and I hope that you're having a fabulous week of stitching. Bye for now. Okay, here is our close-up of Bewitching. I want to just share with you a little bit of the details of this piece and tell you a little bit about the lessons learned as well. Number one, these treasures hanging off her hat and her ribbon. These treasures right here, there are 4. They get loose very easily. You attach them with a bead in the center, and so you only put your thread through one time, and they can get wobbly very, very easily. I put those on early on because I was so excited I thought I would bead all the way down, and discovered after I did that they didn't work in my scroll rod and they didn't stay put in my Q-snaps, and I had to take them off and put them back on. So lesson learned there. Blending filament, lesson number 2. I think you can see the shine in this moon, all the colors in that moon, every shade in there has blending filament. And there are 3 different shades in there. In her beautiful coat, there's blending filament in all of the white and all of the grays that constitute the trim and the little white swirls that go through there. I think you can see some of the shine anyway. I would recommend, if you're going to do this piece, that you substitute out the proper colors of the Petite Treasure braid and not fool with the blending filament whatsoever. Now, this was my own adaptation to the pattern. I put a small yellow bead for the bird's eye rather than a black French knot because you couldn't see it. And then the rest of this bling are beads. The little white clusters are all through the jacket, as you can see, these little clusters. And the citron beads are all through the dress. They're just beautiful, and they go across her dress band, and it just makes for a lovely, lovely piece. Another lesson learned. You see the back stitching around this coat? It's beautiful. It really helps to define that wrap that she has on. Unfortunately, that back stitching is not shown on the pattern anywhere except the picture on the outside. The color is listed when you look at your color numbers and you read your instructions for back stitching. It will tell you several colors for back stitching, and then it will say all other back stitching in the color that is this blue. I think it's 3810. Unfortunately, your pattern does not show the back stitching at all. So if you're going by your pattern, you wouldn't back stitch any of this. None of it. So I just had to go by the picture and kind of come up with what I would back stitch myself and what the previous person who did the stitching, I guess for the artist, what they decided to do. Or maybe it was on the original pattern, but it wasn't on mine. So just a note about that, to be prepared for that. I did not back stitch that as I went along because it wasn't on the pattern. And I had done the back stitching for the pumpkin, and I had done the back stitching for all of her skin as I did it. and I would have backstitched this cloak had I known. So I wound up thinking I was almost ready to bead, and then realizing that I had not done the backstitching. But I think she's lovely, and I've just been very pleased with how she's turned out. So that is Bewitching, and this is my 7th year of WIP finish. Thanks for sharing her with me. Hi everyone, it's Dina. I am back today to talk to you about the autumn sales for both Stitch Mania and Cross Stitch Finish Line. I had signed up to do both. They both started today. Today is Friday the 22nd of September. So, in case you missed it, just a second ago, I talked to you about a great finish I had last night about 8 p.m. And I got to thinking about the fact that I was going to use that piece for my autumn sales, thinking I would be working on it the rest of this month at least, and possibly even into October. And then I got obsessed and just finished the thing. Anyway, so I thought last night, that means I have to pick something else for my autumn sales. And I looked in my stash, and I had 2 things kitted up that were autumn, very autumn. Autumn Queen from Mirabilia, and Into the Autumn Sky. And I picked Into the Autumn Sky. Isn't she just precious? Now, you guys that have been watching me for a while will remember that this was gifted to me by Brenda, one of my viewers. And Brenda had one requirement, and that was that when I finished it, that I regifted it to someone else. So, Brenda Holzman, thank you again for this pattern. And I wanted to let you know I'm now starting it, and I'm going to do this as the autumn sal, and then it's going to go into my regular WIP rotation, which will start back up now that I've finished that focus on finish and gotten that out of my system. But I dearly love this piece. She is so carefree and so much fun, and I started working on it this morning right around her waistband, right up under that coat, because that's about where the center of it is. I started there, and I've been working my way around her skirt. I'm still working on it because the day's not over, and I'm going to stitch a little bit more, but this is what I've gotten as my start. There's the swing, and this is, you know, her skirt starting here. This are her layers of her skirt going out. And look at this, everyone. This is an older piece of fabric that I had in my stash. I think I had it kitted up with something, decided not to do it. Anyway, it's already got the masking tape on it, which I don't do anymore. But it should be enough, big enough, I've measured it 3 times, that I'll be able to trim that off in the end. I zigzag mine now, but at that time, that's what I did. And so I didn't want to get rid of this piece of fabric. I wanted to use it, and it is a perfect blue, I think. You know, I'm just going to copy this because it's striking. I just really like the look of it. I didn't have anything in my hand dyeds that I thought would look nearly as pretty as this contrast, because it lets all the colors in the picture just pop. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. This is a 28 count, and I think it's either a Lugana or a Joblin. I'm thinking it's a Lugana, but there was no name with it. I've had it for so long, I've lost the tag that came with it, but I did count it up, and it is 28 count. So I just wanted to tell you about that. That's my new start today. For those 2 fall sales that I'm participating in, and I'm loving it. I'm loving stitching it. I'm going to have a good time stitching on it today. And then tomorrow I get to sit down and do a little replanning now that my Bewitching is out of my rotation, now that it's a finish and it's a year of WIP finish. I can sit down and kind of reboot what I'm going to do for the rest of the month of September. Have a stitching meetup that Talia, covered in cat hair, has arranged for us at our local library, and that's on Monday. So I know I'm taking my secret stitch with me. I'm halfway through with it and I haven't touched it because I've been trying to finish Bewitching. And so I need to take that and work on it. But other than that, I don't know what I might take with me. I might take my newest piece with me. Anyway, I'm loving what I'm stitching. I'm having a wonderful time. I hope you are too. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Floss Tube. This is Dina. I'm back again on Monday, September the 25th. I did a book review early this morning before I left for the stitching meetup, and it'll be at the end of this video. I want to give you an update on a WIP that I worked on most of yesterday's stitching time, and then today when I got home from the stitching meetup, I picked up where I left off because I wanted to finish up a small goal that I had, and I almost did all of it. I did very, very close, but it's kind of late, and I had a late night last night, so I'm going to stop before I make mistakes. And I'm going to go ahead and give you an update on this one. You haven't seen her in a while. This is Firefly Fairies, and I don't know if I have a picture of when I stopped last time, but if I do, I'll put it in for you. But I had started working on the red fairy over here, and I had started on the dress. I had gotten just a little bit of the dark red here and a little bit of this edge done and some of this bustle here done. So I decided this time that my little short-term goal was going to be to do as much of the red dress as I possibly could on a short rotation. It's short this month because I focused on a finish, and so I wanted to touch a couple more of my WIPs. I didn't want to leave them hanging with nothing done to them this month, so I looked back at the one that I had not touched in the longest, and that was this one. I had not touched it in the entire month of August and had not touched it in September either. So it was high time. So I'll show you where I'm at now. I'm leaving it on my lap frame because that's what I'm stitching it on, and because I'm going to continue working on it from this point. I'm not ready to take it off the frame. So I'm just going to spin it around and show you the red in the dress. I have actually finished the red in the dress all the way down this side. This is where the petticoat beading begins, and then the petticoat itself begins there. I have a couple of colors left to do in here and here, in that fine little line there, and out here. And there are just a few stitches in there before what's left are the metallics, petite treasure braids, the braids, golden braids, or beads. That's what all that space is there for. So I'm actually down to the edge of the dress all the way across here, except for down here I have this one little corner that I've got to bring on down and around, and that's what I have left in this color that I've been working on, and I just couldn't bring myself to stitching it anymore tonight. This is very small count, and it's just difficult to do. I love this fabric. It's beautiful to look at, but it is difficult for me to stitch on. It's linen, and the threads are not the same width, and so it's very easy to get off. In fact, I did get off a time or two in this red dress, and I've had to fudge it or make it my own, as they say, where I've had to put some little half stitches or just, take the count over one more or one less to make it fit, because I got off in my counting. But I think overall the dress looks fine. You're going to see it from a distance. You can certainly see the outline of the bustle forming, all this bead and metallic through here is going to be beautiful. It's going to be across the bottom of the dress, and then you'll have that pretty red and pink, or pink and white petticoat, just like you have the green and yellow petticoat over here for the green dress. So my next goal is to finish all of the cross stitching in the dress, and then move over. There are some little starbursts like these in here. I can do the back stitching on those and everything but the beads. And then I'm going to start working on this blue section and bring it down to the lowest point as well. I've still got a lot of work on this one to do, and I have already made up my mind that this piece will be carried into 2018. I don't want to get in a rush and not do a good job with it. I've put too much time and effort into it to let that happen. And so I just feel like I'll be working on it every month. I want to try to make sure I work on it at least one day between maybe my rotations. I thought of putting that in. You know, I'm down to a lower number of WIPs that I've had in a little while, and so I could do a 3-day rotation and put this in for a day, 3-day rotation and put this in for a day. And I might actually get more work on it that way, because I do better on this piece when I only stitch on it for a day or two. It takes me a few hours, a couple probably, to get back into the pattern and to really know where I'm at in the pattern, and not have to check it, you know, every 2 or 3 stitches. I do much better after a couple of hours. I've kind of gotten the pattern in my head, and I know where I'm going and what, you know, how much of this color is going to be used, and it seems to go smoother. But then I can really feel fatigue set in after, if I'm working on it the second day. Today was my second day to be working on this, and like I said, I got to the point where I knew I couldn't even do that corner of that dress in that one color, because it just, I knew I would start making mistakes and have to frog, and I don't want to frog. So I'm pleased with my progress, very pleased. I think it's noticeable progress from where I was before. I can see a difference, and you know, when you stitch on it and can tell that you've been there and that you've added to the piece, that makes you feel really good. So I'm pleased with it, and it's going to be going back in my rotation for the month of October. So I'm very, very happy with my Firefly Fairies and how it's coming. And then I have just a really quick few things I want to share with you about our stitching meetup today. I want to thank Talia from Covered in Cat Hair for taking the initiative to set that up, to get the room reserved at the library and put the invitation out there through the Facebook group. And as has happened every single time, and Talia can testify to this for me, I'm not making this up. Again today, we had 2 individuals who stopped by, came into the room all excited because they found out people were cross-stitching. And they took the name of the Facebook group down. One lady had never heard of Floss Tube, but she was ecstatic about finding out about the YouTube channels. I wrote down Stephanie's the Stitchin' It, and Talia's Covered in Cat Hair, and mine. I have stitch cross stitch for her to get started, and recommended that she look at who we're subscribed to and just start searching, you know, and start finding people she wants to watch. She's retired, and she's ecstatic that she's found a group of ladies who like to cross stitch, because apparently it is her passion. And she has a daughter who stitches too, and she's very excited to share with her everything she learned today. And I'm just really hopeful that she will join the Facebook group and try to come to future stitching gatherings that we have. So I hope that didn't interrupt you. I got a low battery notice. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Both ladies that came in today were very happy to find a group. The second lady who came in was a little more difficult to read. She actually said to us she wasn't sure that we would tolerate her well because she's such an advanced stitcher. And I think what she meant was obsessed, because she talked about how she stitches all the time, that she can't sit still without having stitching in her hands. And I think that's what she was trying to say, but it came across kind of funny. And we all laughed and said, well, we'll try to tolerate you pretty well. We know some fairly advanced stitchers out there in our community. So that was lots of fun, and gave us wonderful conversations afterwards. But the whole point is we're just sitting there in a library conference room, and as the patrons come in and out of the library, they see what we're doing, and the doors open, and so they just step in and get, you know, their eyes just light up, probably the way we do when we walk in a cross stitch store. But it's always fun to feel like you've made a connection, you know, with a new stitcher, and help them to find floss tube and other stitchers, you know, to have fun with. So it was a great day of stitching. We had a wonderful time. Stephanie brought a guest with her, her daughter Danielle, who is precious and was crawling all over the room and exploring a lot, but not as much as we thought she would. And I even got to hold her and play with her a little bit, so I had a wonderful day. But it was a lovely time had by all, and I just wanted to encourage any of you to put the feelers out there in your community and see if you have anyone that's, you know, subscribed to you or a part of one of your Facebook groups where you feel safe enough to say, we're going to have a meetup at this public place if anybody would like to come, and just see who might respond to you. Our Georgia Stitchers group is going very strong, and it started with 3 people. So, you know, you just have to put your feelers out there and see who's out there. And I think you'll find that there's a lot more of us than you know. So I hope you've had a great stitching day. I know I certainly have. And I did stitch on my secret stitch today, my gift stitch. So I'm not going to be able to show you the progress tonight. But I did make progress, and I was really tickled with that. I got 3 motifs done on it, so that was a good day for me, and I'm happy about that. So I will be working tomorrow on a new WIP. It will be something I'm going to do for the ABC sale. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. I got to go find something with the letter B on it if I can, or an alphabet or something. But I'll come up with something, and I'll participate in that tomorrow. So I hope all of you will too, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hello, how are you everyone? This is Dina back. This is Friday, September the 29th. It is almost the end of September. Can you believe that? I have 2 things that I want to share with you today. One is a RAK. This is from a dear, dear lady who I have met since being on FlossTube and being a part of the Georgia Stitchers group. And this is from a friend of mine, and she's not given me permission to use her name, but she knows who she is. But I wanted to share something with you. She wrote me the sweetest note. She said that she had been shopping at their book room, the used book room in their local library, and she found this pattern and thought of me instantly, and she wanted me to know that I could use it, or if I already had it, I could use it for a giveaway. So I want to thank you so much for that. And as it turns out, I do have this pattern. This is a Teresa Wentzler Romeo and Juliette. So I think that's a great piece. I'll let you get a close look to it there. It's lovely. And so I will be doing this as a giveaway in honor of my friend. And just if you are interested in that pattern, if you will just put in your comments Romeo and Juliette, then I'll know you want to be included in the drawing. And I'll draw it for my next video that will occur around the middle of the month, next month, hopefully. So let's just say we will take people to sign up for it through the 14th of October. How about that? And so Romeo and Juliette, nothing about giveaway in the comments, you know, because of trollers and that sort of thing. But if you're interested in participating, please just put Romeo and Juliette in your comment, and that will tell me that you want to be included. And thank you so much for sending that to me. And in the meantime, I'll see if I can have permission to tell you who provided that as a giveaway. And I'll be able to share that with you hopefully next time. Now, I'm excited about this one. This is a fully finished object, and you've watched me stitch it if you've watched my channel at all. And I showed my finish earlier in the week, or last week, I think it was. 22nd, I think, is when I finished it, and took it to my framer immediately. And I was very fortunate because she was able to get it finished this quickly. This is very fast, and I was tickled pink about it. So I'm going to spin it around here and show you my framed Bewitching. There she is. Trying to get it far enough so you can see the whole thing. So, I'm sorry for the glare, but I'm going to turn the camera around and actually do a really thorough showing you of this beautiful framing and matting and things of that nature. So I will do that here in just a second. But what I'd like to share with you is to have a wonderful weekend, and also I hope that you've had a very productive September. I hope you've had great plans for October, and so I will come back here after I show you a little bit close-up of this frame, and I will say goodnight. But for now, let's look at Bewitching. Hold on one second, let me turn the camera around. Okay, we have turned this around now. I'll move a little closer so I can hide that pattern I've been working on today. Anyway, what I wanted to show you here is the frame. This frame is a black frame, but the black appears to be painted over, that shows it really well right there, a gold color. And then the gold is shining through very well on that edge right here that you see. So you see the gold showing through here, and then you see this gold edge. And that gold is very close to picking up those citron beads in the dress here. The other thing I want to mention is this double mat. My framer was actually going to put spacers in the piece, and the spacers were to make room for the beads and here and here, and of course my treasures that I've pointed out before on the hat and this little thing here and up here. There are 4 of them. Well, she put the spacers in there, and when she did, the frame itself was too shallow to accommodate the spacers. So she took the spacers back out and she put a double mat. I had picked the purple, and she just did a double mat, which gave it enough room to sit up off of these beads and treasures, just enough. So it's a great, I think, a great framing. I love the frame itself, love the piece. I hope you can see all those beads on there, and the beads in the dress itself. Just lovely. It's just a precious piece. I really like it. I think it's turned out beautifully. I'll give you the bottom there of the dress. So I hope you've enjoyed watching Bewitching, as I have enjoyed stitching her. Well, thanks for looking at my fully finished object with me. I have it already up in my house as you come in my front door. So that will be my fall and Halloween decorations started off with a bang there as you come in the door. So now what I have left is just to tell you a little bit about October plans, and then if you are interested in book reviews, I have a book review at the very end of this video. So I want to talk to you a little bit about October. I have my calendar open here. I have some sales that I'll be participating in both in Stitch Mania and in Cross Stitch Finish Line. I love doing that, and I have put them on my calendar already, and I will start picking pieces that I will stitch for those sales. And I'm not sure what all of them are at the moment because I'm at a unique place in my stitching right now. I have finished my Halloween piece, and the only piece that I have now that's seasonal that I'm working on is the Nativity. But I'm nowhere near a finish on that, so I'm not going to break my neck and try to eke out a finish on the Nativity this year because it just isn't going to happen. I wouldn't get to stitch on anything else for 3 months, and I don't want to do that. So I do want to do some Christmas stitching, and so I will be stitching on some ornaments at least once in the month of October for my ornament sale with my Stitch from Stash postcard pal Terry. And I may do a few more depending on how things are going. So my stitching is going to shift a little bit starting in October, more to Christmas and less to my rotation. So here's what I was thinking, and this is subject to change, but for now what I'm thinking is I will take one of my 5 WIPs that I have, and I will probably stitch on it at least a 3-day rotation in the month. Don't know exactly when I'm going to put it in yet. I'm going to do some traveling this month. I have family weddings to go to, and I also very well may be traveling out of town to accompany my son on a trip. So we'll see how that transpires. But what I would like to do is in the month of October, November, and December, pick 3 of my 5 WIPs and at least work on them each 3 days. And just make sure that I have touched them for a period of 3 days that month. And the other 2, if I get to them, that'll be great. I'm gonna enjoy that and I'll look toward that, but I'm not gonna make it a requirement because I want to leave plenty of time for some Christmas stitching and some finishing. I have my 12 Days of Christmas piece that I need to sew together. I'm going to make it a wall hanging. And then I have all these Christmas ornaments that I was stitching this year through Stitch Mania's week or month of Stitch Mania. And also these my Stitch from Stash Pal stitch along that I'm doing with Terry has created another ornament each month. And so I may have as many as 12 ornaments to finish by December. And so I need to set aside some time to do that, to look through my fabrics to see if I need to shop for fabrics, that sort of thing. One of my biggest finishes I need to do is a birthday present for my sister. And I am scheduled to finish the stitching on the last piece tonight. I'm hoping that by midnight tonight, that I will be able to post online a picture of that 4th and final finish. And if I get that done, then I've got to work on finishing it up and making sure it's going to work the way that I want it to do. And then I'll film that for you. And so once I have it all finished up, I've decided I will do one of 2 things. I will either put it together a separate video for that piece, or I'll attach all of it together and put it at the end of one of my videos coming up and just let my sister know to stop watching at that point, because I don't really want to wait all the way until January to show it to you because it's just too cute. I just want to share it with you now. So that's my idea of what I'm going to work on. A lot of Christmas, which I have yet to pick out, to work on at least 3 of the 5 WIPs that I currently have between now and the end of the year. And if I get all 5, that'll be great. but I want to work on at least one each month for an extended period of 3 to 5 days. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. A lot of finishing this month, and a lot of stitching that will be something new. I haven't started much of my Christmas, so there'll be some new starts hopefully coming up. And I think then after the end of the year, whatever WIPs that I still have to carry over, I'm going to put them pretty high on my priority list so that I get them finished and completed and up in my home, and then I can start a whole new batch of things that I want to get done. So what WIPs have I picked? Well, first of all, Nantucket Rose has to be one of them because we have a sale for Nantucket Rose. So I have to keep her going. Probably will stitch on Nantucket Rose every month between now and Christmas because I just want to keep making progress on that because I'm with a group of people stitching her and I just want to stitch along with them, you know, and get that done. And another one that I know is going to be in that group is Ashley's Roses because it's one of my newer WIPs and I'm enjoying it so much. And I just want to put some more time in it. I have less done on it than I do on others. And then I think the next one that I really want to work on is probably going to be Sleeping Beauty. I haven't had much time with her lately and I'm missing her. And I just did quite a bit of work on the Firefly Fairies. And so I feel like that's had some attention lately. And so of the three, I know I want to touch Nantucket Rose, Ashley's Roses, and Sleeping Beauty. And then hopefully I'll get some progress on each of them in the next 3 months while I'm busy working on some of my Christmas stitching. So that's a loose plan for me, but I think that'll be a new experience. I got tickled, Ingeborg, I got tickled when you said you tried the 3-day rotation and it was too restrictive to you. And here I am trying something that's very loose, work on what I want to, and just make sure I touch one this month. And that's very strange for me. That may or may not work well for me. I'll let you know as I go. But that's the plan for now. So you guys have a great weekend. And I hope that as you enter into October that you have lots of stitching time and that you will enjoy what you stitch and have a wonderful time in the coming month of planned or unplanned stitching, and just do what makes you happy as far as how you want to tackle it. Thank you for sharing time with me. Thank you for visiting my channel. I hope that you've had something that you've enjoyed watching or being a part of. And don't forget, there's a book review at the end if you're interested. And if not, I'll say goodbye now and happy stitching. Bye. Hello. I'm so glad you stayed around for the book report. I just want to tell you about a wonderful novel that I read called Unseen. It's by Karen Slaughter. And it's a great name, especially for detective novels. Anyway, Unseen. She's written several books, but this one's one of her first that I've read, so I just wanted to let you know about her. This book was enthralling to me for many reasons. One, the cast of characters were intertwined in their personal lives as well as their professional lives, and I thought that was just a master of writing on her part to have the connection on 2 different levels. And the second reason it was so interesting to me is that it's set in Macon, Georgia. And I happen to know Macon, Georgia. I lived there for 18 years of my life. So I was very curious to see what landmarks she might reference and, you know, just how she was going to portray the area in her book. I'm sorry to say she didn't do a whole lot of that, but enough that I could pick out what she was talking about on a couple of areas. So that was kind of fun for me. I want to tell you about this book just a little bit. There are a cast of characters, but there are 4 really main characters that tell the story. And I did a little diagram for you to help me explain it to you, how they are intertwined both in their personal life and in their professional life. First, their personal life. This is sort of like a family tree. You've got Sarah Linton. She is an MD. She is a cop's widow. And her husband, who was killed in the line of duty, was the father of Jared. Jared is a motorcycle cop, and he is, in addition to being a motorcycle cop himself, married to Lena Adams, who is a detective. So you've got Sarah the doctor, who's the stepmom of Jared. Jared's married to Lena. And now Sarah, finally, after several years, is dating a man named Will Trent. And Will is a GBI agent, and he's undercover on a case. Now, that's how they know each other personally. What about these two, Lena and Will? You find out in the book that they've met before in very unpleasant circumstances, where Lena was being investigated for a shooting in the line of duty, and Will was the investigator. So he's investigated her and has cleared her in the past. And the book opens with Lena in trouble again. She's being interviewed by the Internal Affairs office because she had conducted a raid on a local drug organization, raiding a house that was a known hangout of the person that they were trying to capture. And they were very fortunate. They were able to capture the person. But in the course of that raid, they found a couple of shocking surprises. Some dead bodies, for one. And I don't want to ruin the book, but something else that was quite unexpected in the home. Anyway, as you open this story and you start reading, what you find is that Lena has spent 4 days in internal affairs defending her plan, her attack, her, the way that the raid went down. And her home, she's at home after a very long day, exhausted. Her husband, the motorcycle cop Jared, comes home, and they're just talking a bit, and someone breaks into their home while they're there and actually attacks them, tries to assassinate them. And you don't know whether it's something that Lena's been working on or something that Jared's been working on, because they're both police officers. Jared is shot. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. He is shot, and so now he's fighting for his life, and Lena is fighting to figure out what has happened. In the meantime, the GBI agent, Will Trent, is working undercover, it just so happens, in Macon, Georgia. And as you might expect, it turns out that he is after the same drug organization that Lena has been working on the local level for, but Will's after it at a much higher level. And they wind up being on the same case without knowing it. And Will is trying to avoid running into Lena, although he does. And in the meantime, because Jared is shot, if you remember that first relationship, his stepmom, she's called to the scene. She's called to the hospital to check on him, to be with him. She's dating the undercover agent who's there undercover, and he can't let her see him. But guess where he works undercover? At the hospital where Jared is. So can you see how this is starting to get extremely difficult? It is so intertwined. It is so much fun. There are some funny characters in the story. There are some very evil people depicted in the story. But you're constantly wondering how everyone's going to juggle their roles. How is Will going to keep from running into his girlfriend, Sarah, who he has not been able to share with her what he's working on. She knows he's undercover. She doesn't know where he is, and she doesn't know what he's doing. And he's trying to keep it that way. Unfortunately, that's becoming more and more difficult for him and not blowing his cover. So it gets really interesting that way. And the more the cases intertwine and the characters start knowing each other, oh, it just leads to a wonderful, wonderful end to the book. And the book is resolved quite well. There's there's the fear of Jared, whether he's going to make it or not. There's the fear of whether Lena's going to make it through her hearing and investigation and be able to do what she loves doing, which is being a detective. There's the uncertainty whether Will Trent's going to be able to maintain, his undercover persona and not get killed or not blow his personal relationship that with Sarah that is just really beginning to be something that he cherishes and wants to pursue. So there's so many wonderful what ifs and are they going to make it scenarios in the book. It keeps you completely enthralled. I'm not going to tell you how any of it works out. I want you to read the book, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down. I read it in a weekend. So Unseen by Karen Slaughter. It's a great story. Not so much detective whodunit, but much more about the interpersonal intertwinings of our daily lives and how people that we know, people that we see in one way that we know of them may not be the true person at all. And I think that's the theme of this book because it comes through over and over again. That, we see only the side of a person that they share with us. And there may be secrets, that are very deep and are protected at all costs. So it's a very interesting way to tell that little story. So I think you'll enjoy it, and I hope you'll read it. Unseen by Karen Slaughter. And thanks for staying around for the book report. I hope that you're enjoying reading whatever it is you're reading, and I'd love to hear about it. Talk to you soon. Bye.